transition, or at least kind of where we see the agency relationship going in the future. I think this whole conversation about digital versus traditional, online versus offline, I don't think is really the right conversation to be having or the right question to be asking at the moment, at least where we are in the digital space in India. I think by focusing on that particular question, we kind of lose sight of the fact of the sea change that's taking place within the digital space. And it's no longer really a conversation or putting information out in front of consumers. It's more about engaging consumers. And so the real question, I think, should be about is how do we create engagement within the advertising space as opposed to the digital space. And to do that, we really need to kind of focus on ideas rather than moving forward with this conversation and the debate. So the digital versus traditional is, in my mind, kind of the wrong question. The question should be is how do we better engage consumers in order to compel them to buy, or not necessarily compel them to buy it even, to compel them to have a conversation with you about your brand and your brand's values, whether it's a product, a service, or an offer. So the answer really is, again, it's ideas, and big, beautiful, powerful ideas, and not necessarily something that's confined to a specific media. Ideas that are not slave to a particular platform. Ideas that have the legs and the flexibility to fit into multiple levels of engagement. Ideas that blur the line between ATL and PTL. Conversations I have with clients all day, every day. And if you're aware of bicycle racing, words are written on the road of encouragement for particular athletes, particular cyclists. Nike brought this idea together, the idea of I love you, the idea of communication, to be able to actually create a platform where you could, anywhere in the world, go to the Nike website, type in an address, or at least type in a statement, and this robot, which is being towed along the Tour de France course, would write a salutation, a message to a loved one or a cancer survivor. It's an idea that, again, is it digital? Because you're using the digital space, but is it not? Is it offline? Because you're actually printing something on a street. But I think it's one of those ideas that truly transcends media. And I think the strong point of this is that it's a strategic idea that identifies with the core values of Nike, identifies with the core values of Nike's brand and its athlete, Lance Armstrong, and it relates to the core value of the sport, which is all about competition. And the foundation itself is about survival. Again, phenomenal idea. We can talk about whether it is digital or traditional. Old Spice. I think everyone in the room is familiar with this particular campaign, again, from Wieden Kennedy. Strategically trying to refit or retrofit an old flagging brand in the United States. My grandfather used to wear Old Spice. I think they're trying to put a spin on it. They did it in a very, very unique and compelling way. I guess I don't need to go into too much detail about this particular case study, but I think what I wanted to leave with you is just these three examples of ideas that came from traditional agencies that are purely digital in nature and purely digital in scope. The fight is not whether to be on one side or the other, because clearly, as a leader of a digital agency, I'm right in the middle. But the fight is to create a world where communication isn't just communication. Is communication. It's not segmented pieces of advertising sewn together to fit a particular media or a model.
When we talk of let's do digital, that I think is where the problem starts. Let's do social media. Let's do an iPhone app. Let's do Facebook. Now let's do an iPad app. What is the idea? When I talk to clients and they tell me, I want to do an iPhone app, ask them one simple question. When was the last time you briefed your advertising agency to do your hoarding at Haji? You don't do that. Why are you briefing supposedly your digital agency to do you an iPhone app? You have a business challenge. You have a problem in the marketplace. Tell us about it. We'll give you a solution, and an iPhone app might well be the solution, as a hoarding at Haji might well be part of the solution. So where's the problem lie? It's not in It's not with the clients, it's not with the agencies, it's with the whole landscape of marketing. Because digital agencies, in fact, took shape, and this is an India-specific thing largely, so we focus on India, but it's applicable across the world, took shape in many, many ways. Media buyers turned agencies. There were guys who bought many, many millions of impressions on Redef and all the early digital sites in India, went to clients and said, you know what, this is the new wave, we must be on, you must do banner advertising. They said, sounds good, but I don't have any online advertising. Do you have a TV commercial? Yes. Do you have a print campaign? Yes. Give it to me. 3-ad campaign, 3-frame banner, boom. I'm a digital agency. So that's one way it started. Tech companies turned agencies. You know, we build websites, we build all the stuff that runs servers and all the sexy stuff. Put a skin on it, your website, your brand. You know what, if I can build a website, I can build a banner. If I build a banner, I can build a Twitter app. If I build a Twitter app, I can build an iPhone app. I'm a digital agency. Digital agency, there you are. Enthusiasts turned entrepreneurs. Guys in dorm rooms, you know, there's Zuckerberg who's made millions and millions and billions of billions. But a lot of other guys, they hack, they do like applications, and they go to tell clients that, you know what, we do gaming application, very cool. Let me make some money from it. So that's their view of digital. So this is where I think the issue lies. It's not in the way clients and agencies kind of, this is what you've been brought up on. So you've been brought up on this is your worldview. But that worldview is changing. Because Web 2.0 is, so 2.0. Participation, usability, AJAX, RSS, what's your API, long tail, data driven, let's build a wiki. What's the idea? Today, you have a brand. You build an ATL campaign above the line, you do television, you do print, you do events, activation, you do CRM, loyalty, very important, you know, people are fickle, all that stuff. Then you do something else, then you do something else, and hey, let's do digital. This is how it is today. So let's call it search guy, digital done. Checkbox marketing, I call it. Checkbox digital, have we done digital? This doesn't serve the brand very well because what's currently at the periphery is what's the most potent because clients talk, consumers talk to each other through digital. Whatever you say is, you know, a tweet away, a like away, a poke away. It's easy to spread messages, it's easy to get momentum on conversations. I'm not going to share my crystal ball vision of what digital agencies will look like, what advertising agencies will look like, because it's difficult to do so. Everyone in this room will have 3 opinions and we won't get anywhere. What I'd like to share with you is a perspective on what are the forces of change at play. There are fundamentally 4 forces that are at work. Digital itself and social media. Consumers are changing how agencies need to be. Clients are demanding different things, and agencies themselves are looking at themselves differently. So where will this lead? To a new client agency culture, philosophy, structure, perhaps. Hopefully, turning it on its head. So it's not digital as the afterthought. You know, you start with where your consumer is. Your consumer is in digital. So again, when I say digital, I don't mean apps and tech. I mean consumer spaces. At the core, the brand wraps around it, all communication takes off from it as one happy integrated family. Digital at the core is the way I see the face of agencies changing sooner rather than later.
Where we got to where we are is that we started with limited digital presence as different markets in the world developed in using different digital technologies. So the pressure of clients coming in and saying, you know what, I want you to do an Apple app. I want you to do Facebook. I want you to do Twitter. So different parts of the world were saying, instructing their agencies to do different things. So we have this huge scattered initiatives across the world where everyone's doing different things. And the bottom line, we've gone through this in great detail in this conference already, but I have clients who spend about $1 million a year and they focus mostly on print and TV, and their digital presence is around 50K to 70K. And believe me, they grudge the money that they spend there. But you knew that already. So what I wanted to say is that the fun really starts when digital goes mainstream and companies really start at looking at initiatives across the world. And what happens at that point is that there are three different ways in which we see that enterprises have decided to go digital. There's one group, and these are typically the ones who get discussed in a great number of case studies, are those who want to surround the millennials or provide the experience. There's a second group, and this is a fairly large group that we work with, and is that there's wow, okay, this is great stuff, but we have all these other constraints in our business that we must meet. So how does digital actually get us to doing our business better, to growing our revenues, our profits, etc. And there's a third group, of course, that says we don't want to be left behind, but they're skeptical about whether it really works for them. So they say if you can't prove ROI, don't bother asking for more money. And what really happens is that to make this happen, the expectations from clients is that you have creative, you have interactive, you have the various classifications, and I've seen it sliced and diced, and you've all seen it sliced and diced a million ways, is that some of those are really breaking down the barriers between the various agencies, and hopefully we can identify some of the demands that are being made on the agencies. The challenge here is really to do with analytics, and that's where you see some companies coming in and saying, you know what, we're also digital providers, and this is the challenge that they are helping companies tackle. So there's a great search on for ROI right now. We're saying awareness, yes, we know what we know for sure. We have 1 million fans on Twitter, on Facebook, etc. But people are asking for quantification in terms of engagement, retention, cross-selling, metrics, etc. And that's a challenge that hasn't been handled yet. And we've heard various speakers in this conference talk about the challenges or the way to look at that. There's a Forrester study, it's probably not very visible, is that 43% of the respondents said one of the major factors inhibiting them from investing more in social media is the inability to measure ROI. So while the interconnect challenge is common, the push that each client is making on the agencies is very different, and I think the agencies are responding. We haven't seen it play out completely, but the changing face of the agency that we see today is really a response to one, the changing or the alignment between the customer demands and what an agency offers. Also, it's each agency stretching and saying, you know what, as Ashok said, we do 1, 2, 3, 4, why not say we'll do 5, 6, 7, 8 as well. And those are the pressures that are really changing the way the agency